Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to the Friday night edition of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this great planet. Our Keith Andrews and the ET Connection coming up momentarily, but first we have to say hello to each and every one of you. Who are you? Well, it's Kitty Caddywhack in the gold medal position, Eternity Eternal with a silver, Race Fan with a bronze medal tonight. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want any of that rigidness when you're talking aliens. So, Mel, thank you for the lube. David Norenberg, how are you? Lenda, Robert Lamoth, good to have you here. Gory Tiger and Forrest Louie, thanks for coming on in. Trucker Andrew, good to have you here as we continue on with our roll call here. Hi there, Necessary Dialogue and Les Paul Holland. Thanks for coming on in. Scrolling on down, let us say hello next to Deanna Ann. Deanna Ann will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Cosmic Joe, Frankie B, Creepy Pasta, nice to have you all here. As we continue on with our roll call, Moodent Mongol, how are you? Road Flare, Nikki in Seattle, thank you for joining us. And who's next? Kurt M., thank you for coming on in. Number 7 in your program tonight, starting at center ice from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. There he is. A Dead Jed, what in tarnation? How are you? Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Jaquetta, thank you for joining us. The gorgeous, the talented Jessica Jones, the Cryptid Huntress, will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. J Truth Seeker, Spider Bite, thank you for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call. Bob Thor, good to have you here. Hi there, Carol Amariel and Spiraling 69. Digger Dog, my man, how you doing? Michelle Eilis, good to see you again. Give that Navajo warrior a big hug for me, if you don't mind. Bill Sardellis, thank you for coming on in. Jose Sanchez, good to see you. JSCO, how you doing? Sweet Donna C, thank you for coming on in. And Michelle, thank you so much for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Be like Michelle. Yeah, you could be like Michelle. I'd appreciate it, that's for sure. And don't forget, you can also join our brand new membership on this channel. It's going to get you a few little specialty items. Yes, it will, including a wave by me. So make sure you check that on out. Well, let's see here. Who else we got? I think we're caught up. I had a really hard craving before the show for cream soda, so I had to go get some cream soda. Awesome Cat Chaser, thank you for being like Michelle. And thank you for being you with that great super chat. Much love to you. Let's get the radio side going, shall we? Hi there, Sensational Shelley. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. You are the listener, and we're going to talk with our Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. We'll take audience questions right from the beginning until Keith is done 2 hours later. And we are in roll call on our YouTube side right now, so just be patient with us. We are about 40 seconds away from launching this bad boy. What can we talk about? Well, we're going into the forest tomorrow. We are. Little Timmy James and I are going back into the forest. It's going to be fun, fun, fun. Till the daddy takes the T-bird away. Or the Bigfoot, in this case, away. All right. Super Chat is open. Our store is open on our website, spacedoutradio.com. Rock and Rory, how are you? Throw those horns up. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ear towards the little cabin in the woods. We're together, friends. Oh. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We're going to have an amazing show tonight. Our Keith Andrews of the ET Connection is here. We're going to talk aliens all night long, as we do with Keith for almost a decade going now. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will kick things off. We will follow that up with another great edition of the Q&A with our good friend, extra small, Lee Strauss. So let's get right to it. It's that time of the night, that time of the month, where we bring in our Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Keith is a lifelong experiencer of the weird and strange. Things that don't make sense to most people make perfect sense to Keith, especially when it comes to aliens, alien species, trying to figure out what their downloads are. Oh, he's got them all. And we always love it when Keith comes into this show because he helps people get their questions answered that they might not be able to find on places like Google or other podcasts or YouTube channels. So let's bring him on in. Our Keith Andrews, it is always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio. How are you?
Doing not bad at all. Pleasure being back here again. It's hard to believe it's been that long, you know.
Right? You were only supposed to come on for one episode. Here you are nearly a decade later.
Well, I did come on for one episode. But as my parents put it, when it comes to figuring out the next one, there may be 4 or 5 in between. So we just carried on.
Keith, for people who may not have heard your story before, you are a lifelong experiencer, someone who doesn't study UFOs. You don't know the players in the game. You're not following the whole disclosure movement. You don't follow old cases for the most part. You don't really have anything to do with the community, yet you're very involved with those who have had strange occurrences and experiences. Why do you take that stance?
Well, number one, and no offense to anybody, but, you know, quite seriously, I've questioned my own sanity for my entire life. But every time I start questioning it, I end up talking to somebody that's had an experience or an encounter. And when I talk to them, they'll go, what you're telling me is exactly what I went through. It explains all this other stuff. I'm going like, okay, so maybe I'm not off my nut. But the reality of it is, when you take a look at listening to all the big players and what have you, the one thing I found is that a lot of the information is, and pardon my putting it this way, because somebody's going to take offense to it, but it's regurgitated. I don't know what the other players are doing. I don't even know the names of half of the big players. And there have been a few big players that I talked to that, well, to say we got along kind of like oil and water is putting it politely.
Keith, there are many people in the UFO world who have heard you speak, heard you talk. They may have never heard your name before, and they're sitting there saying, who is this guy, and how does he know this much? I've had people in the intelligence community come up to me and say, man, where did you find this guy? Because he shouldn't know what he knows. How do you gain your knowledge?
The simplest way to put it is firsthand. I've been abducted more often than I care to count, and I've done the routine of the my labs, the whole 9 yards. The fact of the matter is, because I do not see any race, any species as any more important than the next, I tend to get along with the ones that are open-minded. But the ones that are trying to keep a lid on things tend to get a little edgy. But I deal with people head on. And when I understand, when I'm talking people, I don't mean just humans. I mean aliens, plants, animals, the elementals, the whole 9 yards of them. They're just different people in different vehicles. And they're all essentially the same.
I get that, and I can appreciate that. Do you ever wish that you had a normal life?
Honestly, there have been times I fought for years to try and fit into this one. And I finally came to the conclusion that I don't fit in the normal world. I was asked one day very specifically why I was so interested in fitting in. And, you know, watching the way people treat each other, I question that regularly. But what I see as being normal is, to say the least, a little less than amicable in my eyes.
Okay, so for normal people who don't understand with what you just said, define that.
Well, when you take a look across the cosmos, and this is not just on Earth, this is amongst the several hundred species I've run into. What you're looking at is people tell you, treat others as you desire to be treated. And yet the massive majority of people I've run into are so caught up in, I've got to have instant gratification now. If you don't believe exactly what I believe, then you're the evil person. You're the weird one. You know, so I just look at the world and go, okay, if we all literally start treating each other the way we desire to be treated, you follow 3 simple karmic laws. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And energy out, energy in. Those 3 laws apply to everybody. Okay, and I just live by them.
For now, ET contact is old hat for you, my friend, and it's been that way for a long time. How do you look at your life, or do you ever look at your life and just shake your head and laugh and say, wow, this is one crazy adventure?
Yeah, if we take that block out, quite honestly, the word you didn't use, I do that all the time to myself. I literally look at my life going, this is more science fiction than it is reality. But you've heard the old saying, truth is stranger than fiction.
Yes. Heard that many a times. Was anybody else
I literally look at it, shaking my head going, how? How
Was
can
anybody
one
else in
person-
your family just as connected, Keith?
There was one member, and I'm not going to tell you which one because I haven't bothered talking it over with them. There was one member that was connected, but they opted out or managed to bypass it. I just looked at it and went, I literally made a request when I was a child. Get me off this planet. Well, the problem is I didn't tell them not to bring me back. So I've gotten off the planet multiple times. I've even checked into it as far as, and we'll call it circumstantial, but I've had the potassium and calcium crashes associated with with orbital travel more often than I care to count. But no, as far as I know, I'm the shall we say the anomaly in the path.
I know you've shared over the almost last decade that you've been doing this once a month with our audience, so many of your own personal experiences. And a lot of times we'll ask you for your darker, scarier side because it helps with the ratings. It does. But my question to you is, what's the funniest experience you've ever had? Or maybe mention a couple.
The funniest one? Well, I thought it was funny. They weren't overly impressed. I was actually called upon with another gentleman that some of you may know. I'm not going to tell you who it was, but we got called up because a battleship of the Circassian Empire got caught in a black hole. Actually, two of their cruisers got caught in a black hole, and there were a lot of people that were really agitated. So I got caught up. Now, understanding Circassians, first of all, for those of you that don't know, are about 7.5 to 8.5 feet tall. They are reptilian by appearance, and they are very honor bound. Okay, so I walked into their main throne room, and I told them what I was planning. I was asked to come and help. We don't need your help to go and get our people. And I kid you not, I looked the leading patriarch. I looked him in the eye and I said, well, if you're too much of a coward to go and get your own people, then get out of my way and I'll deal with it. Now, I'll tell you, the look on a reptilian face when the jaw drops is from my standpoint, comical.
How do you stay calm in that situation?
Well, I don't see them as any better than me. And of course, in all fairness, I don't see people as better than anybody. But in all fairness, at the time, I had virtually no physical, emotional connection with my own emotions. So somebody threatening me just didn't make any difference to me. Why I never got fired from mundane jobs, I'll never know. Because those people are all dead. But no, even the first time I ran into what you would consider God, which, by the way, is just simply another species with a lot more ability. And the first time I ran into them, the guy looks at me and he goes, you don't belong here yet. I said, well, the door was open. No, it wasn't. I said, the door was open when I came through it. And this went back and forth for the longest time. And he finally looks at me and goes, you opened the door. I said, well, of course I opened the door, but it was open when I came through it. And then he just stood there. It's like, okay, I can't deal with this. The reality is I have a tendency of taking things a little too literally, in case you have noticed over the years. But
I totally understand
where
you're coming with that.
I never figured out how to filter. That filter everybody has says, oh, you shouldn't say that. Mine's a little delayed. It usually goes, Keith, you shouldn't have said that. And of course, by then it's a little late. But I think one of the most comical run-ins I had was with a daemon. Many of you know him quite well. Okay, you may know him by a different species name, but a chap by the name of Mephistopheles. He came through my door. There were 5 of us in the room at the time. He came through the door, and I don't mean he opened it, but he comes into the room, and he goes, "I am Mephistopheles. You will fear me." The 4 other people in the room ran up against the wall, turned chalk white, which wouldn't have been bad, except one was Negroid. I just looked at Meph. I says, "After lunch." So he repeats himself. He goes, "I am Mephistopheles. You will fear me." I looked at him. I said, "We covered that." I said, "After lunch." Now, in the meantime, my friends are a little edgy. So if you want to join us, pull up a chair. Otherwise, I'll talk to you afterwards. He got confused and left. The people I was with just looked at me and went, "How did you do that?" I said, "Open mouth, insert foot." You know, the reality is fear is a pain in the neck. And at the time, I didn't understand it at all. My stroke kind of screwed that up a little, I think. But thus far, I haven't had a problem with the off-worlders.
You call them off-worlders. Why do you call them off-worlders rather than extraterrestrials or aliens?
Well, we'll start with, if I call them aliens, in my opinion, everybody that is not in the land they were born in, and this includes all of the humans on this planet that have moved from one country to another or from one city to another, they are alien to that area. Okay, we'll start there. Off-world is because I split the non-human races into 2 groups. Ancient races, meaning they evolved on Earth, and off-worlders, meaning they evolved on a different planet altogether. Hence the different terminology for it.
So you believe there are aliens here that evolved here on Earth just like a human?
Absolutely. Not the least of which would be the Chitauri.
And who are the Chitauri?
The Chitauri are a reptilian race that evolved on Earth, starting way back in about, I believe they started their evolution in about the Cretaceous period. Okay, but they are centered in North Central Africa, is where they're located. Good luck finding them. You gotta go under the Sahara. That's going to be a challenge for you. But they are just one of several thousand races. What you got to realize is that when I'm talking about ancient races, most of what you know as mythological beings, I may know by different names or by different origins. But many of the people that you know, your elves, your dwarves, your minotaurs, even things when you start looking at some of the odd species that people are talking about. Now, there are a couple of races that evolved on Earth. Okay, and are no longer here. The Mobians evolved here. Okay, they happen to have about 50,000 years ago, they colonized Mobius, which is on the far side of the sun in a locked orbit that is synchronous with Earth. So from Earth, you'll never see it. And yet, NASA knows about it. Then you've got the Anunnaki. Now, everybody knows the Anunnaki as a huge species, as a huge race from somewhere else. They evolved here, but what they did was they knew at the time they were evolving that they would not be able to evolve, that they would not be able to live compatibly with humans. Understanding the Anunnaki, a young adult, is 15 feet tall. They look basically human. The Mobians are human. They're just much more than psionically or psychically evolved. The Anunnaki asked for help to get off the planet. They got off the planet via another ship. They do still keep an eye on things. And yes, they are on their way back in, but they're not on their way back in to step on people. That's
How did the Anunnaki end up in Orion's belt then?
Because the Anunnaki from here, the consortium had already been in the area. Okay, they'd been in the area for a long time, and the Anunnaki simply asked for help to relocate them. So the consortium built them a ship that then taught them how to use it so that they could get off the planet and let mankind evolve. There's one other race that also evolved on Earth, okay, that most people recognize. Now, I know them as Singinan. You know them as vampires. And they literally evolved. They developed their penchant for high iron blood because of a food shortage at the time. So their body just simply evolved. And net result, yes, they still walk the earth today. Usually at night for some weird reason.
Keith, have you ever met an immortal from this planet?
Yeah. On this planet? Technically, no. He took me off the planet. What you call an immortal is simply somebody with a very long lifespan. I stand corrected. I ran into a Laborian one day. Now, technically, they're not immortal. I think they live, about 360,000 years, roughly. Now, I don't know if you qualify that as being immortal, but you're standing on what humans would definitely call an immortal. Right at this moment, you're standing on somebody that you know as Earth, Gaia, Mother Nature. I know her as Itza. She is a Kaboran. And every Kaboran is a planet or a planetoid. But every planet or planetoid is not necessarily a Kaboran. Mobius, for instance, is not a Kaboran. And yeah, I know this sounds completely out in left field. And rest assured, I've been called a lot of things. Some of them are very repeatable in polite company.
When it comes to meeting something or someone who is immortal, how do you know that they're actually immortal? What traits do they show you, or how can you tell?
Easiest way for me is their vibratory rate is wrong. Okay. And I know that may not make sense, but the biomagnetic flux that surrounds every living organism on what you would call an immortal, their cyclic rate is a lot slower. Okay. The other thing that the dead give away is they're never in a rush to do anything. These guys make professional procrastination look like a flash dance. These guys they're in no hurry at all because they got forever and a day to watch. The other thing is most of them will not stand on, most will not interfere with what's going on because they already know they live a lot longer. You're going to have to figure things out. Okay. But they will encourage you to look into things.
Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Our Keith Andrews and the ET Connection happens near the beginning of each month here on Spaced Out Radio. For nearly 10 years, Keith has been bringing his woo to you. Sometimes we're lucky enough if we can hit peak woo. We will try for that tonight. Your alien questions, if you're in our chat room on YouTube or X, are coming up next for our Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. This is Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. We'll be right back right after this. All right, Keith, we're clear. Just checking to see if I missed any questions. Destiny Rocks, how are you? ST, how are you doing? Paul Demon, thanks for coming on in.
Well,
Do,
just looking at this, I just got one. For somebody to ask if I've got a book or something with the non-earthers. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute, Keith. We'll get to the questions during the show.
Oh, yeah.
Ethanol, how are you? Smokes
I
a lot?
leave that entirely up to you.
Yeah. So what are you doing for the long weekend, Keith?
I don't even know when the long weekend is.
This weekend?
Is that the one coming up?
Yeah, like
Probably
starts right now.
in my desk writing. Oh, okay. Gives you an idea how much I pay attention.
Don't worry, we got you covered, Keith.
No, I will probably end up still just sitting here writing. But no, I'm, next weekend, like I've got to finish. Ouch, dang, that hurt. Ow. I didn't break it. Drew blood, but didn't break it.
Yennefer, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah, Keith, are we going to throw you a bachelor party or what?
Now, how the heck am I supposed to know that?
Well, I don't know. You're getting married. I mean,
yeah. Well, as I put it to Kira, I've already had one wedding, so I'm really not worried about it. So I know they're having a reception, but am I planning on a bachelor party myself? I know about 3 people in the city, right, that I actually spend any time around.
right.
So we undoubtedly will get 2 or 3 games in before I head out.
It's really weird. The extra small Lee Strauss just hopped in.
Yeah,
He's like showing off some nipple there.
Yeah. But no, when it comes to a bachelor party,
Scott Rosen, how are you? Good to see you. We got just about a minute. Lee, do you want to come in with us? No? What, are you not good enough for? Are we not good enough for you or what? I can't hear you. I'm just watching your lips move. The reason I'm trying to figure out why you keep stroking that superfluous third nipple.
I'll be back in with you guys on the next break.
All right. There's extra small Lee Strauss right there. We got about 45 seconds, Keith.
okay.
Little Cam on YouTube, late for the show tonight because he was too busy completing 184 reps of 600 pounds. He started it at 5 o'clock Pacific, just finishing now. His arms are jacked. tired. He can't even take his shirt off because he can't lift his arms. But Little Cam, thank you for your dedication. Thank you tonight so far to Michelle, T-Bone, Cat Chaser, and the lovely Marie for the super chats. Greatly appreciate your love. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, our archives are always free. Just go to YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. My name is Dave Scott. Our guest tonight is R. Keith Andrews. This is the ET Connection as we get to some audience questions right off the bat here. Keith, thank you so much for being here tonight.
No problem at all. Fire away and we'll do what we can for them.
Going to start off with Paul here, who is asking, have the authorities ever tried to contact you, Keith, about your experiences?
Yeah, that was fun. The answer is, yeah, they did. And I'm not, again, I have a tendency of not bothering with the names of them, but I had a group of them show up on my doorstep looking for me by name. And of course, they started off telling me they weren't associated with any other group, but they wanted to go and they wanted to talk to me outside of my house. I told them this isn't really a good idea. I don't leave the house very often. Right. So I went out with them, sat down in a coffee shop, and as soon as I sat there, bearing in mind, they said, we're not attached to anybody. I sat down and looked at the woman and I says, you do realize we're being watched. And she all of a sudden gets really panicky and looking around the restaurant. She goes, who's watching us? Who's listening in? I just shook my head and I looked at her. I said, not in the restaurant. 2 blocks out the window just down behind us. Well, she coughs into her hand. Much like that. And she goes, are they still watching us? I said, no, they got up and left. And I'm thinking, if you're that well evolved, what are you talking to me for? But after all of this, the long and the short of it was the woman looks at me and goes, you haven't told me anything that our government doesn't know. I said, great. Then you got 1 of 2 options. She goes, what's that? I said, either I'm sitting on information your government doesn't know, or your government is full of idiots. Take your pick. She goes, you can't call my government an idiot. I said, certainly I can. 1, I'm an English major. 2, I refer to my own government as idiots. What makes you think I'm going to look at yours differently? I was told I should learn tact. I haven't quite figured out why.
Was this the same one where the CIA lady came to your door?
Yeah.
So it's only happened once for you?
It's only happened the ones that they were that blatantly direct about it. I've had other people that I know were government connected from various different governments that have shown up to talk to me. But for whatever reason, I'm fortunate I've never been arrested. Heck, I've only got 1 parking ticket in my life. I think it really boils down to an issue of, it boils down to, because I treat everybody the same way, and I refuse to turn over names to anybody, them included. That may be the whole issue. Plus, when you talk about having friends in high places, let's just say mine go a little higher than most. And I'm referring to physically.
Do you think then that people and experiencers like you are watched more than what we think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there is no question they are. You know, I mean, but it's like I told one person a long time ago. He was worried he was being watched. I said, I'll give you this. I've got some good news and bad news, and I don't know which is which. He goes, well, what's the supposed good news? I said, well, you are right. And this applies to every one of your listeners, whether they're live or they're watching this video later. Every single person out there is being watched in detail by multiple governments, multiple off-world entities, multiple ancient races. Okay, you're being watched, you're being tracked, emails are being gone through. Absolutely, they're looking for information. But here's the massive disappointment for most of you. You're really not that important. Now, from my
I kind of figured that out. You know, but I mean, then why do you think they target people who have had experiences?
Because they're trying to fail. See, humans have evolved by their own design into a very timid, very, very fearful race. So they're expecting aliens to attack us, to invade our world. And I mean, this has got to be so far outside the realm of reality that, you know, but that's what they're looking for. They're looking for an upper hand. What they don't realize is that upper hand is not going to come by humans. You know, we just do not have the technological capacity. Now, if we go back 50,000 years, humans were a definitive threat to off-worlders.
All right, let's go to another question here, Keith.
Absolutely.
Let's go to Paul again. There's a MLA, I think he means member of parliament from Manitoba, that wants disclosure. Larry McGuire, retired, never ran in the last election. You've never heard from any Canadian officials, have you?
Not that I'm aware of. Of course, I haven't figured out why, you know, like I got involved in politics years ago and came to the conclusion I didn't want to have anything to do with it. But, you know, I think part of the problem there, or part of the reason, is I've been very clear, or tried to be very clear with everybody. You're not looking for disclosures. Disclosure has already happened. You know, this isn't a new thing. But no, I don't have people showing up on my doorstep from Canada. I get them from other countries.
Let's move on to Jaquetta. I often wondered about Petra, location with huge doorway, etc. Could that be where the Anunnaki stayed?
That depends entirely on how the doorway is, on how big the doorway is. And there is no doubt some Anunnaki stayed on Earth. I mean, you take a look around the archaeological digs they're working on, okay, and you find somebody with a 6-foot skull. That's an Anunnaki. Okay, right there, you're dealing with the skeleton of an Anunnaki. It's, you know, and there are those that will say those are fake skulls, they're just mock-ups. I'd like to know who it was that did the mock-up to bury them in the ground as well as they did. But there are some Anunnaki that are living in what we call inner Earth or hollow Earth. Not many of them down there, but there are some.
All right, moving on to another great question here. Let's go over to Jay, who is asking, Keith, would you be willing to draw and write out a chart for all the ET-related names you're using for comparison purposes? I will answer that by saying that Keith has a book with all the ET species that you could get. You have it on Amazon, don't you, Keith?
I know it is only available on Buy Me a Coffee. I
Oh, is
tried
that it?
dealing with buymeacoffee.com/Inner Voice J.
Yeah, you want that
No.
book. You definitely want that book. I was going to say,
If you want
definitely.
that book. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Where is it? Way over there. But yeah, I've got that one. The second printing, that book is 64 pages long with 60 races in it. I am expanding it right now. I'm in the final edit. And by the way, second edition, I've added pictures and a lot of extra information. At present count, it is 119 pages long. I've got volume 2 and volume 3 already started.
It is great. Absolutely great. All right, let's go to Marie here. I'm genuinely curious, Keith. Are black-eyed children human, alien hybrids, or something else? Most things I understand, but these entities have me so confused.
I'd have to look at my book, man, for what you're looking for, but they are another species altogether. Okay, they are not alien, and they are not human alien hybrids. They are just simply another species. And they do report to other species. They're directly linked to the consortium as liaisons to simply report what's going on this planet.
Do you think there's anything demonic with the black-eyed kids? Because
No.
a lot of people tend to think so.
A lot of people think that buttercups used to be demonic. But no, black-eyed children are by no functional means connected to the demons. Connected to demons, the evil entities of the world. They are simply non-biased reporters. It's just children can come and go a lot more readily than adults. Even with them being black-eyed kids. But they are no functional threat to anybody.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to In the Studio. Have you ever had radiation poisoning from any of these creatures? And if so, how many times?
The short answer would be yes, and I can't even begin to tell you the number of times. But then my system operates on a very different wavelength according to the doctor. But yeah, I have definitively suffered from it. In case you couldn't tell, my hair did not fall out, but that may have to do with my healing rate.
All right. Let's move on to another one. Let's go to T-Bone. Keith, is the captain, being me, going to your bachelor party? I asked you that already. I haven't been invited, but I will be sending Keith something. Jennifer wants to know, Keith, what is your definition of demons?
In a nutshell, demons are something that the religious circles of Earth have concocted as a way to cause people to fear what's going on around them, and thereby give some of their hard-earned money to the churches. Demons, on the other hand, are a whole different species, and there are good ones and bad ones, just like there are good ones and bad ones of every other race and every other species available. But the moment somebody starts looking at a demon, I'm looking at them going, okay, do you want a shovel or a backhoe? Like, which one's more appropriate? But demons, as they are portrayed in everything I've looked at, really come across as, I don't give them any time of day, really. in a nutshell, they're sort of a, shall we say, manufactured entity. And yes, I know there's a lot of people out there that are going, oh, that's blasphemy and you shouldn't talk like that. Probably not. But unfortunately, my shouldn't say that was broken a long time ago.
All right, let's go on, Keith. There's more questions are coming on in.
Absolutely.
And let's next go to my favorite question that gets asked to you all the time by people who are new coming into the chat room. So let's just let the cat out of the bag. Do you have any proof whatsoever about these claims you are making?
I will put it this way. Almost 100% circumstantial only. I'm not about to go into and submit myself to any sort of testing, so we're just going to ignore that. Did that already. Okay. The proof that exists, the military has. Okay. If they've kept record of it at all. And Lord knows they keep record about some really weird things. But the essential, undeniable, functionally undeniable answer is no. Which means people get to take what I'm saying and either go, yes, it's real, or no, it's not. What I keep running into, though, is people telling me that once I've laid out something, they come back to me going, that explains exactly what I was seeing before. Thank you for corroborating it. Now, I can't begin to tell you how many times that's happened.
All right, let's. Are you want to go on more on this one?
Oh, the only thing I was going to say there was I leave it up to the individual to decide whether what I'm saying makes sense or what I say doesn't make sense.
I will answer that question this way. Enjoy the woo. Relax and enjoy. Have a cold one and just sit back and relax and enjoy our Keith and the knowledge that he's been passed on by the ETs. Let's go to Erica. Keith, can you tell Erica the difference between that's a question for me. Between joining the Space Travelers Club versus the Channel Club? The Channel, you get different options. Space Travelers Club is just like doing the wave. It's fun. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Let's go to Marie.
I'm glad you answered because I couldn't tell you.
Does the name Lysara sound familiar?
Sound familiar? Yes. But do I know it specifically? No. But I will tell you the energy that comes along with it places them in their species as royalty or what amounts to royalty.
It sounds special. All right. Let's move on to another question for you, Keith. Jay is asking, would you be willing to or able to accompany Dave and Tim to the area of Flight 21? Well, Keith has to get up here first before we take it there. But yes, Keith is invited.
Well, I appreciate that. And the short answer, would I be willing? The answer is yes. Getting up there, that's a problem. I gave my car away.
Let's go to my first mycology. Mycology is the study of fungus, by the way. I had to look that up. So his first fungus. Nice. Any information on the October 29th, 2025 comet or alien probe entering our solar system?
Didn't know it was even inbound. So that would be a short answer to no.
T-Bone is asking, Keith, in the book Harvest, she talks about a purple cape wearing reptilian called Mister. Are you familiar with him?
With him specifically, no. But that sounds like a chameleon. Chameleon is just another one of the reptilian races I know of. They are 7.5, 8 feet tall. And they are true. What the heck is the word I'm looking for? They will do whatever they get paid for. You know, it's that simple. This is not a group that you necessarily want to swing a contract with, because they will figure out how to screw it up.
All right, let's move on to another question. Let's go to Super Crazy. Do any aliens hide in our closets or under our beds or in our basement watching us to scare?
Watching you to scare you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Do come get into
like
places.
A bug crawling on me.
Try that again.
I said, yeah, pretty much as I had a bug crawling on me here.
Yeah, we can safely say that was local. You know?
Yeah, one of the ant people was literally, I had an ant fall from my ceiling here in the studio and it landed on my hand. So I got like ant people in the studio now.
Well, we can safely say if it was a tail on and it dropped from the ceiling and landed on you, you would know. Because they're 3 feet tall.
Okay, are the aliens in our closets, under our beds, or in our basements?
I have no doubt that some will get there, but you have to worry about, you're talking about childhood nightmares. And the short answer is that's not their general MO. I mean, certainly some kids of certain races will do something silly, but on the whole, no. I wouldn't put any weight to it.
Blue Cruz is wondering, have you ever encountered any planets that resonate a negative or low frequency consciousness?
Oh, certainly. There are saying, understand, and I mentioned this a little earlier, every Caboran is a planet, okay, or a planetoid. And just like humans, just like every other species, some of them are smart, some of them are dumber than fence posts. Okay, this said, not every planet or planetoid is a Caboran. Even many of the comets and, many of the comets that travel past, even those, some of those are Caboran.
All right, let's go to another one. We got 90 seconds, Keith. Let's go to Jose. Keith, do you believe that the symbolic representation of the Egyptian Anubis may have actually been their understanding of today's dogman?
Well, given that you said may have been, the answer in some cases would be yes. But Anubis was literally one of the Ennead. The Ennead is the race of beings that ancient Egyptians saw as gods when they arrived. But the Ennead Anubis is what humans would call a Therianthrope, a humanoid appearing animal figure. Anubis himself, little high on himself, but not a bad individual.
Think we got time for one more? Think you can squeeze it in? All right, let's go to Cosmic Joe. Do you know any celebrities that sold their soul to the dark forces? That's a loaded question, considering tonight, pretty much half of them, at least half.
There is not a species out there, including the daemon or the Untar, that you can sell your soul to. So there's lots that may well appear to have, but what they've done is they've taken the media, they've taken the position on Earth, and said, I'll do whatever I have to get ahead. And there's a lot of people, not just celebrities. There's a lot of people that do that.
Hold that thought, Keith, because we're going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Hard to believe we're already through 1 hour with our Keith Andrews of the ET Connection. We love it when Keith is here as he joins us near the beginning of each month to talk about all things extraterrestrial. And we love opening up the audience questions right off the bat. It's something we've always done with Keith. A little bit different than your regular show, but he's got aliens. He does have his aliens. This is Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. We'll be right back. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. Oh, look at that extra small Lee Strauss. You guys chat away.
Hey,
Oh, yeah. Congratulations, sir.
well, thank you very much.
It's finally happening.
It is. And the neat part about it from my end is it's actually taking place on our 5th anniversary.
Perfect. Perfect. I believe in synchronicities, so there you go.
Yeah, it worked out rather nicely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what part of the country are you guys planning on moving to?
Oh, she's planning on moving from there to Kelowna.
Aha.
I'm not moving.
Very good. Very good. Well, I've kind of been listening to some stuff in the background. You know, as you were talking with Dave, I've been doing chores and had the audio going here, so I was kind of paying attention to what you were talking about. And so you say that there's planets that have souls.
Yes, you're standing on one.
Yeah, yeah. I believe that too.
With your mind the way it works, I'll drop one on your lap that people are not going to be able to prove for at least 250 years.
Okay.
This planet, this sun that we're on, that we're around, this is a trinary star system.
Primary.
Trinary.
Okay.
Not
Explain
binary,
that to me.
Trinary.
Explain that to me.
Take an equilateral triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Sol, our planet, our sun, is on one corner. Okay, now I know, that's on one corner. We go to the next corner. There is another sun. And the third one is another one, equidistant from each. The center point is that's the axis.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So we're almost,
but they are so far out, we will not find them for a while.
Oh, so our closest star, our closest neighbor, it's not Zeta Reticuli, is it? It's
yeah.
I'm trying to think of it, what it's called.
You're likely to have better luck with that than I am.
I can't remember.
You got to remember me.
You got me stumped for a minute.
Well, you got to remember, just to give you an idea on names and locations. You know the Keg restaurant.
Yeah.
You know the chain. Dave was in town here about 8-9 months ago. Took me to the Keg. I got lost inside the Keg.
Oh. Wow.
My sense of direction is not something we write nice things about.
Alpha Centauri, thank you very much, Roger. Yeah, so Alpha Centauri. So Alpha Centauri is not one of those solar systems.
It's not one of the. It is not part of the trinary. No.
I gotcha. Huh. So we have some darker stars out there. It sounds like.
Oh yeah.
That's something. Hopefully with our new abilities. With our new gosh, I'm having a hard time tonight.
I'll just take your finger in the light socket, wake you right up.
So
do not do that, people. This is a bad idea.
Yeah, so we have a new telescope, and Argentina, I believe, is where it's at. And we can see a lot of the things that are coming into the solar system right now. Our capabilities are much better. So hopefully we'll be able to see that sort of stuff soon. Those sorts of stars and whatnot.
Well, I like the idea of soon, because soon really is a relative configuration. Now, the reality is that the scientists may well see it before that, but the odds of them telling anybody, I wouldn't hold my breath. I mean, let's face it, when they put the Land Rover on Mars, just what, 10 years ago now?
The rover's been on Mars for maybe 12?
Close enough for my books.
Yeah.
They made such a big deal of it. Which to me would have been great if they'd have told you when they put it on there in the 70s.
Well, maybe they did.
Well, they didn't tell, and they didn't tell the general population as near as I can tell. They certainly didn't tell me because I don't pay attention to them.
Right. Well, I'm gonna go away until
You can hang out if you want, Lee.
I'm still doing some laundry here.
All right. Thanks, Lee. We'll see you in an hour.
Yep.
Thanks for dropping in, Lee.
All right. Sarah Yon, how you doing? Leacham, how are you? Roger, nice to see you. Just checking to see if I missed any questions. Thank you tonight to T-Bone, my man, Marie, Cat Chaser, and Michelle for the great super chats. Always appreciate your love and support. Don't forget, you could join our new membership on YouTube, get private videos, private chats, and so much more. We're going to be launching that earlier or later this week. And here we go. Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone tuning us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Rindle. Rindle is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's go to our good friend, our Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Keith comes in each and every month to talk about aliens. Yes, he does. And we have a lot of fun with him doing that. And Keith, thank you so much for being here.
And thanks so much for having me back. You know, it's been a heck of a ride. And again, thanks for everybody that shows in with the great questions. That makes it so much easier from my end.
All right, let's start out with Super Crazy. Keith, which alien races could we possibly defeat if they invaded our little planet?
No. Now that we've shortened that list down to a better setup, because you got to remember, these races, even the least technologically advanced of them, are so far ahead of mankind. You haven't got a prayer. But then they're not interested in invading the planet anyway. And the few that have been interested have been put back in place. Or eliminated, depending on how they took it. But no, the whole concept of an alien invasion, that is fear-mongering at its finest, in my opinion.
All right. Let's go next to Nikki. The female scientist who contacted you about what they were just learning and heard you talking about info. Could you tell that story, please?
Well, number one, let's understand she wasn't a scientist. But she showed up on my doorstep telling she was dressed in a I kid you not. We're in the middle of July in the Okanagan. She shows up in a winter fur coat and shows up on my doorstep looking for me by name. Now, she went to one of the metaphysical shops in town, who I happen to frequent there, and they put her in touch with me. So she contacts me, wanted to meet for coffee. She said she wasn't involved with any government. So I went, okay. Like I've told people, I will meet people I will meet people. If you come to town, I'll go for coffee with you. I got no problem with it. So we went for coffee. And she told me she went to great lengths to say, look, I'm not affiliated with any government. I'm just looking for information on these particular things. So I went, okay. So we sat down in the restaurant, and I told her, I said, we were being watched. Well, she immediately got real panicky and coughed and put her hand up to her throat. And from my hearing, she coughed. Right. And then she immediately takes her hand down and looks at me and goes, are we still being watched? I went, no, they just got up and left. So this was an event that took place 2 hours on 2 different days, 2 hours each. On the second day, she insisted that we go out to a site, in a local site here. And I told her, I don't go out in the wilds. I just don't. Not comfortable there. Okay. So I got out there, and I'm looking around because I could feel things were a little off kilter. When we got done, she looks at me and she goes, Keith, you're absolutely one of the rudest people I've ever met. I says, well, I did something right. She goes, you wouldn't even look at me while you were talking to me. I says, you're the genius that told me that we had to go out into the middle of nowhere and sit down and try and relax. Doesn't happen. Right? And that's when she looked at me and she goes, you haven't told me anything that my government doesn't know. I says, great. Then you got one or two choices. You either have to accept the fact that I'm sitting on information your government either doesn't know or can't corroborate or whatever, or you got a government full of idiots. And she goes, you can't call my government idiots. I said, I just did. I'm an English major. I learned. I said, much more importantly, I call my own government idiots. So what makes you think I'm going to look at yours any differently? And understand that term, whether people take offense to it or not. If you do, my apologies. I don't know a better word for it. I utilize the same terminology with every other species I deal with. I don't see anybody as being more worthy or more honorable than anybody else. They are all equally of value. Now, I will tell you, and this is going to come across in an interesting fashion, Dave is one of the few people that I will quite readily talk to, because Dave has always listened with an open mind and does it with everybody. I'm sure he thinks I'm a basket case on occasion, but so do I.
Well, if you're a basket case, that makes me at least half basket case. So we're in good company, my man. We're in good company. Let's go to another question here. Let's go to T-Bone. Which alien race is the most deceiving?
Honestly, I would have to say humans. The rest of them are pretty black and white. We're going to do this. The Tech-like we're very clear. We are going to strip your planet of all of its minerals. Okay. Then they found out that humans tasted good, so they were going to take everything. They were stopped. They've actually got a civil war going on right now because of that little altercation. But no, most species, I guess you could say the Orions are really good at the deception thing. Chameleons will say whatever they have to get the job done, or to get it, and to gain access to what they're looking for. And of course, if you're looking for Untars, just remember, if they're there to kill you, they'll be straightforward about it. They'll let your next of kin know, maybe. They're not likely to tell you, but that's probably because they don't talk to the dead that often.
Let's move on.
Deception, especially self-deception.
The gnome wants to know, Keith,
go ahead.
Who's flying the ship heading to our solar system?
I did not get that at all.
It's in regards to the whole NASA sighting of the 3I Atlas or I3 Atlas that they picked up. NASA picked
Really?
up on, yeah. And they're not sure if it's
You
a
keep
comet.
breaking off, Dave.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I'm
Keith,
getting, like, I heard, can you hear me now? But the sentence before that I missed altogether.
Okay. Who is flying the ship headed for our solar system? That is the question.
Oh, I think I heard it. Is that the one that somebody said was something like 3,000 kilometers in diameter?
It's heading this way.
In all likelihood, and I don't know for certain, but in all likelihood, it's Anunnaki. Oh, wait a minute. Hold up. That won't be the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki are in a sphere. But my suspicion would be it's probably a consortium, what's the word I'm looking for? Diplomatic envoy. Now, I will tell you, they're not likely to pick one government to communicate with, primarily because they're not interested in creating a big problem. They will likely set up in a solar orbit in order to watch what's going on to get a little better bearing on it. But specifically, do I know who it is? There are a couple that it could be. I'm hoping it's not Moldakian. Because if it's a Moldakian generation ship, a new one, then, well, let's just say you're not going to have to worry about the depression that people keep talking about.
All right, let's move on to another one. Back to super crazy. Are there any criminal aliens that are serial killers?
Quite often the answer is yes. There are a few species that literally will, when I say they will dress as humans, they will try and camouflage themselves to enable their own murderous tendencies to be explored a little further. But yeah, they come here emulating humans. They are not shapeshifters. Okay, but let's face it. You put a heavy cloak on with a hood, and as long as you're somewhat humanoid, you're going to pass in the dark. But what you got to remember is it depends on who they are. Sometimes they will do their killing in a way that humans recognize. Sometimes it'll be really weird. And it's the really weird ones that you don't hear about.
All right, let's move on, Keith. Let's go to Destiny. Can you talk about the avian race?
Well, there's a couple of them, but the one avian race you've got, there's the Uka, and it's in book 2, but I think, it's not the alpha. I know I've got a second one, but the Uka are an avian race. They look very similar to owls, albeit 4-foot owls. Okay, very technologically advanced, and yes, like modern day avians, they do raise their children from egg to adult. Very technologically advanced, very curious individuals. Okay, but they are non-combatants. They are strictly scientific researchers, more in the way of xenobiology than anything else. And yes, needless to say, they obviously have some technological capability. They build their own ships.
All right, let's move on. Gnome is asking, Oh, we already asked that question. Let's go to Leacham. Since vampires are real, any ancients or off-worlders that look like Lon Chaney-style Wolfman, is a Frankenstein patched-together monster possible? Appreciate all the work from both of you. Thank you.
Number one, is a Frankenstein patch job possible? The answer is yes. In modern terminology, they would call that a golem. More specifically, a flesh golem. And yes, using the right technology or the right abilities, you can actually animate a patchwork Frankenstein monster. Okay, when you start looking at Lon Chaney's Wolfman, understand the true Alarians are not shapeshifters, but they are a Terran trope that looks like a wolf. The idea of your lycanthropy is brought about because many times, especially if an Alarian bites somebody, and they will bite people, it has something to do with being carnivores. But the infection can cause the human brain to buckle. And yes, they become very volatile, very murderous. And the reason they start looking like they're shaggy is because they give up on the whole concept of normal hygiene. But it's not an actual physical shapeshift. That change in appearance takes usually weeks to take place. The murderous tendency, that's pretty much overnight.
All right, let's move on, Keith. Marie would like to know, we've already asked that. Please only if you're in our chat rooms ask your question once. I would appreciate that. T-Bone is asking, Keith, can you finally tell us what's up with all these animal mutilations?
Oh, that's the easy part. Number one, you're looking at people that are looking at xenobiology. Okay. And in all likelihood, you're probably looking at the Zeta Reticulans. Okay. Because what they're doing is they are looking for genetic material to facilitate the hybridization program. Now, there are other species that will take parts out. Okay. Teklek are not known for taking a small organ. They'll take the whole inside. Bear in mind, Teklek are a reptilian race, very, very active where it comes to eating, but they don't tend to use technology. The reason I say the reticulans are your best bet is simply because of the technological advancement in their way of removing the organs. What they're up to, that is simply biological research, as near as I can tell. Understand, they don't exactly keep me informed of all their ins and outs.
All right, let's head to another one, Keith.
Sure.
Go to Creepypasta. I'm having a hard time finding the book of species names online. Can you please put a link in? So, Keith, tell everybody your link once again.
The link is www.buymeacoffee.com/inner-voice-J. Just the letter J. That'll take you right to it.
Where does the J come from?
I have no idea. Neither did the guy that set it up. It popped in there. It's like, okay. But we went with it because it happens to be the first initial of the main protagonist in the Elderbachian Chronicles I wrote.
Well, there you go. Let's go to Blue Cruise. During any of your interactions with a variety of alien or ET races, have any of them offered you one of their favorite foods or drinks?
The short answer would be yes. The long answer is there's not a whole lot that they like. Their diets are very different than mine. Okay. But some of what they can, and before somebody out there decides to ask, no, they do not offer human. At least not to me. But they have some interesting concoctions.
All right, let's get to another question here from Joe. Keith, I'm about to shave my huge white beard. Should I leave my mutton chops so I could look like you? Please
That
say yes,
becomes personal choice. That becomes personal choice. I mean, appreciate the question.
Oh, come on. Yes, you should. You should always go for mutton chops. B. Arthur is asking, Keith, do you have an opinion on Avi Loeb? He's the Harvard professor who claimed Oumuamua was alien technology, and he is also the one talking about the incoming celestial body being alien technology.
Well, I don't know Avi Loeb myself. I don't know the name myself. But that being said, I appreciate the clarification. As far as the incoming being alien tech, let's face it, that's just a standard. That's just blatantly obvious from my standpoint. Starting out there, it ain't human. The reality of it is, it has to be alien. It's not from Earth.
Ross wants to know, where do the Ophanim wheels come from? Is it true they are construct machines made by Seraphim Engineering AI technology and are very ancient?
I'm sorry, somebody's going to have to bring me up to speed on what
I
they
have
are.
no idea. Let me look this up.
Okay.
Ophanim. This is the brilliancy of our audience, man.
Oh, yeah, I love the questions, but unfortunately, I haven't watched the news.
Okay, the Ophanim wheels refers to a class of angels in Jewish mysticism, often described as wheels with the sky, wheels with eyes, seen in Ezekiel's vision of the divine chariot, Merkaba. These wheels are depicted as having rims full of eyes and are associated with the throne of God. They are also sometimes referred to as thrones or many-eyed ones.
Well, that would make, number one, with that little piece, the fact that they're tied to the wheels that Ezekiel saw. Number one is you're talking about, definitely off-world engineering. Definitely as close as I get to it. You're talking about the Angelus. Okay, who humans refer to quite often and quite mistakenly as angels. There are a lot of things, but they're not all nice. But yeah, you're talking about ships that they work with. And of course, especially in Ezekiel's time, of course it would be related to the gods. Of course, you got to remember, they called it related to the gods. Humans call it related to aliens. The intriguing part is they're both right.
All right, let's continue on, Keith. Let's go to Andromedan. Keith, what do you know who will be the first off-world contact to this planet be?
Are we talking about who's the first human that's going to make contact, or who the first off-worlders are going to be?
Which off-worlders would they like to have disclosure happen with?
I don't know who would like disclosure to happen, but we got to be clear. Disclosure has already happened. You guys already know they're here, and so does the majority of the world. So disclosure's already taken place. But the safer ones would be your Mobians, your Elfid. It wouldn't be, aside from the fact that it scare the daylights out of people, the Srazazians are really nice individuals.
Hold that thought. We're going to break right now.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Okay, we have enough questions for Keith tonight. We got literally about I'm going to say 25 questions to go through the next half hour. So I'm not going to be taking any more questions for Keith tonight. But if I do need some, I will fill them in. Woo Poo, how are you doing? Who am I missing here? Keith, I'll be right back, okay?
Sure.
I want to get something to show you guys.
Okay.
See, this is what I wanted to show everybody. My bottle of tequila.
Nice. Oh, I love it. I love the image.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a bottle that looks similar to that, but doesn't the same sort of shape, but it doesn't have the alien on it. You get that one special made, or you found it somewhere?
I found it just outside Area 51. And then I got this one right here. It's called Abduction Whiskey. I got to meet Ryan at UFO Con. And actually, what's really cool, you can't see it inside. But behind here on the inner label, as you drink, you'll actually see a UFO abducting someone.
Oh, joyful.
Yeah.
And by the time you finish the bottle, you'll think you really saw a full-blown abduction.
I've got 3 bottles of this, and I don't even drink.
Just a recommendation, don't drink them all at the same time.
No. It's kind of funny. But if you want these, go to abductionwhiskey.com. Ryan, tell Ryan that I sent you. I'm going to work out something for him that we can make something happen with our space travelers and our members. Yeah, we got like 2 minutes. Oh, Cosmic Joe, you've tried some. Nice.
No, it's interesting. A lot of the information that I see going on that people approach me with, I'm just kind of sitting there going, okay. Now, maybe I've got it all wrong. Maybe I do. That's why I let other people find the corroboration and the proof.
Got about a minute here.
Yep. I'm not exactly going very far. But yeah, I figure, a week and a half, I'm no longer going to be single, which I'm not complaining about.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm dead positive.
I mean, those mutton chops, are just, trailblazers for the ladies, man.
Oh, we've already had that discussion. I told her flat out they're not going anywhere. So I told her that 5 years ago. But
Nice.
I finally found out why I'm attached to them.
Why?
Well, they grow there. No, because a guy that taught me lifetimes ago, actually, he wore them quite readily. And
Oh,
I
okay.
think that's pretty much where it came from.
All
He
right,
was
Keith, I need you to
actually
hold that thought. T-Bone, Marie, Cat Chaser, Michelle, thank you for the super chats. Thank you, Fast Hemi, for joining the new YouTube membership. Here we go. Here comes the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Good to have you with us as we continue on with our Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. But before we bring Keith back in, let us say to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here is our Keith Andrews. This is the ET Connection, and we're going to get right to our great friends in the audience with their great questions. Get ready to start here. Keith, let's start with Jennifer here. Can you elaborate on the Daemons, please?
Daemons are a race that are way more volatile than you might think, but not all of them are bad. They are just as varied personality-wise as humans are. They just have a much more definitive idea that might is right. So the stronger ones do tend to take leadership positions. But if they're too volatile, the weaker ones will gain access or will band together to solve the problem. They don't have what humans would call elections. Okay, it literally is they are led by the strongest. But they are very much a volatile race, very self-serving. They're not exactly known as, shall we say, social icons. But the Daemon, I actually have a booklet I'm in the process of tying off that's literally titled Meet the Daemons. And the Daemons are in volume 1 of Races of the Worlds.
All right, let's move on. We got lots of questions, Keith. Let's go to Leacham. You say demons are manufactured entities. Could you please expand on that? And since we're on the topic, what were the Nephilim?
In a nutshell, the Nephilim literally means gods. Now, that simply boils down to anybody that a human saw that exhibited abilities beyond human. That's a god. Now, understand, a human, like a person from, for instance, the States or Canada or England or many countries, going to the Congo with a Bic lighter. The Congolesian pygmies, for instance, would see them as a god. Okay, I'm talking about the ones that are way out in the middle of nowhere, have never had contact. That is how simple a god can be misconstrued. So the Nephilim are just a blanket name for pretty much any species. But demons themselves are something that religious groups for centuries have utilized to scare people into following their teachings. Now, I don't have a problem with it myself. I figure you want to do that, that's great. But would you mind following your own teachings? This is why I tell people, this is what I believe. If you believe it, this is great. If not, that's okay too. But demons are a way of scaring people. Daemon, that's one of the species that are very likely to emulate humans in order to pursue their own homicidal tendencies and or other ones.
Mm-hmm. All right, buddy. Let's head on over next to Ross. Keith, have you met the Gundarog Warp Nebula mining cyborgs just halfway through to Alpha Centauri?
I honestly cannot say I have or I haven't. I've been through the area. I just may not know them by the same names. Okay, that'd be one of the biggest problems. Now, I'd have to go and grab the name. Oh, wait a minute, it might be right here. Just looking up in the book itself. Where are we? There we are. There we are, the Xenon. You may know them as the Gundarog Warp Nebula mining cyborgs. They are likely the Xenon, which are a robotic race. They look like robots, but they are living metal. They are not metamorphs. Okay, but they are known for mining for a lot of reasons. These guys rely on bionomes in order to come up with new ideas for advancement. And yeah, they will turn to the volatile people much quicker than they turn to the passive ones. Primarily because it's really hard to turn a sunflower into a weapon.
Okay, Keith, let's move on to Cosmic Joe here. Is there a name that otherworldly beings use for planet Earth?
Yeah. Earth, people on Earth are referred to as Solarians. Okay, you know, some of the more knowledgeable races will call us Earthlings because they've come to understand that this place we call Earth, but the majority of them refer to us as Solarians based on the name of the star. Okay, but we are, according to them, Solarians, humans are Solarians from the fourth planet, not the third one. And yes, NASA knows about the fourth planet that's right inside the sun's photosphere. The reason I say they know is because it was during one of my rare sojourns into the cyber world decades back that I found a link off of NASA that turned over the ephemeris for 3 planets they've got the information on. But yeah, humans are referred to as Solarians. Mind you, we're referred to as Solarians from the fourth planet. Martokians are Solarians from the fifth planet. And just to clarify, that makes them from Mars, which, by the way, not a good idea for mankind to try and colonize. It's occupied. Bearing in mind it's occupied, that's also known as an invasion. Not a good idea.
Let's move on to another one. Blue Cruz is asking, any interaction with an upright alien ET cockroach type being?
The answer is yes, but unfortunately I can't give you a whole lot of information. They are actually in book 3, which that's going to be a bit. But I am pulling the information together. And no, they are not lying. Remember, there was a science fiction movie a while ago with these guys. Not far off the beaten path, but not exactly what they were portrayed as.
All right, let's move on here. Let's go to ST. If someone sees a large bioluminescent dragon, body type similar to Chinese mythological in looks, is it a terrestrial creature or is it an alien?
Technically, it's terrestrial, but the Ararahar, what you know as dragons, moved onto the astral plane en masse millennia back. They evolved to the point where they didn't have to stay in the physical world. So they did evolve here. In all fairness, the Ararahar evolved right alongside the dinosaurs. And yeah, about 20 years ago now, I think, they found in Lower England, they found the skeleton of a 3-foot reptile with dual nasal passages, one of which was absolutely crystal clear, was totally clear. The other one was black with soot, also known as a fire-breathing dragon. A lot of what humans see as myths are based on reality.
I would agree with you there. Let's move on, Keith. Let's go to Mish. Oh, we already asked that. Does Earth have another name? Let's go to Paul. What's under Mars' surface?
The Martokian Empire. Basically, you're looking at a species that had a devastating global war that damaged their world to an extreme extent, not the least of which was tearing the atmosphere off the roof of it. They moved their life, they moved their entire civilization underground, where they do have they've got an entire subsurface civilization, complete with solar generators, with air filtration and generation systems. And just to make matters a little bit more comfortable, they've got a setup with the Venusians, where the Venusians, very peaceful, very creative, or very creatively oriented, have helped build the underground systems that the Martokians require. In exchange, the Martokians are geared to protect Venus, the Venusians' planet, if a problem starts there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I realize that goes against what a lot of people are saying. Go ahead.
Marie wants to know, do ET ships run on red plasma?
Only some of them. Like ET ships, the majority of them run on something called the OTE drive. The short name, the actual name is the oscillator densification of tri-transspatial equipolarity. Basically, it runs on the energy developed in what I call null space. That energy that exists between the atoms. I could go into more there, but we don't have time for it right now.
Fast Hemi is asking, do other forms of life know how long humanity will last?
No. Matter of fact, many of them are surprised that humanity has survived at all. Humans spend so much time, like so many species before them, they spend so much time debating whether or not to blow themselves back to the Stone Age or evolve. And virtually every species I've run across has done the same thing. Okay, but nobody knows how long mankind will survive. I question how they've survived this long, to be honest.
Because we're good. We're good, man. Let's go to Blue Cruise.
Stubborn, that might be.
Any interaction with the tall, lean, golden, or yellow inverted, triangle-headed alien ET race that actress Goldie Hawn met decades ago?
Well, not knowing who Goldie Hawn ran into, bearing in mind they are triangular-headed, I'd lay odds you're probably looking at a Kleeklok, also known as mantis. Now, the coloring of the head could be done by any number of ways of doing it. But I'm thinking I don't know anything about the race that she ran into. So I can't give you a comparison between them.
Makes sense. All right, let's go to another one. Let's head over to, let's see here, Super Crazy. Have you ever tried alien food? What do you like and what don't you like specifically?
Well, I've got a basic rule. If it's moving, stop it from moving. You know, I've had meals put in front of me where it's literally still moving. I'm like, not trying it. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things because I've got myself, I'm primarily carnivore anyway, right? But that said, there are texture issues that I have that preclude many of the foods they work with. I mean, it was great one day. I was offered a plasma drink, or not a plasma. Well, plasma wouldn't bother me much. But it was, when we talk about it being a pure energy drink, it was offered by Yumion. Bad idea. Okay, I didn't bother trying it because, well, let's face it, it would have cooked me. Yumion are light-based.
All right, let's move on. So we got so many more. Millennium wants to know, do other ancient races interact with the consortium as you do? If so, which ones?
Best I can tell you is some individuals certainly do. Can I tell you exactly who? I've run into some Kaldar that have been dealing with them. Elfids certainly do. Okay. But other than that, the Ituarai have had some interaction with the Anjolas. The Ituarai, by the way, you would know as leprechauns. Okay. And
Go ahead.
So there's a lot of the ancient. I know the Grun and the Moldok do not get along well. Moldok are an ancient race that looks similar to the Predator. And the Grun essentially are a Minotaur. Both are temperamental and not great at the sitting down and talking thing.
All right, Keith, let's move on to the new one here. Erica is asking, who created all these alien races? Is there just the one created who creator who created all of us?
How do I put this? There is one creator that facilitated. Now, we have to come back into one thing. According to Earth, okay, according to most humans, there's one creator that created everything. The reality is that there were actually two that were involved in the construction of Earth. Many of these races were created by different individuals. But when you go all the way back, there is one primary access point that directed what was going on, or more to the point, set it in motion. But multiple different races and multiple different entities created various different species. And they all have one thing in common. All of them do the same thing. They go, we were created in our creator's image. Well, in case you have noticed, not all off-worlders look human. Matter of fact, bipedal organisms are one of the most physically unstable entities. But ultimately, it boils down to multiple individuals created multiple different species. But one opened the door, and even he, and I use the term because quite frankly, I can't be bothered to fill in the rest of the numbers. But even he said he wasn't the first.
All right, let's move on, Keith. Let's go to JSCO.
Sure.
Keith, are you familiar with different ships? What ship is the round one with a bright gold perimeter and something that looks like a bright planet at the center?
I'm not entirely certain, but that sounds literally like a Dyson sphere. A smaller version thereof. Now, who is it? I'm thinking it's got to be one of the newer ships from the Arborians. Arborians understand they are an ancient race, but many different species are very similar to them. And I would have to go through my notes. I don't exactly know where I'd find it. But there is one. Oh, no, it was Yucca that had that one. There's one that's got a tree in the center of it. I'm suspecting it's built in the same fashion. But specifically, I really can't give you a definitive right at the moment. But what I can do is make a note of it and go back and find it. Assuming I can find my pen. There we are.
Keith, we got 3 minutes here, so I want to try and get in a couple more questions. Let's go to Jay here. Have the Sasquatches and or ETs ever teach you how to do the invisible or the levitation city abilities?
Okay, don't know what the levitation city abilities are, but they've explained the invisibility to me. That's a vibratory thing. And there's a number of races that do it. As far as levitation goes, that's a modification on graviton impact. And again, it's been explained, but thus far, since I was a tiny lad when I used to do it, I've forgotten how to access a lot of it. So I'm working on getting back to it. But can I explain it with a lot more detail? Yeah.
Let's go to T-Bone. Have you ever heard of alien narcotics or alien spirits?
Every species I've ever run across has their own version of the above. Okay. Some of it, frankly, for humans, it makes you sick. But there is very much a case of every species has narcotics and spirits. And yes, most of them have laws about it as well.
90 seconds. Mish wants to know, do any aliens suffer nightmares from being a human in a former life form, or do they understand it was a lesson?
Oh no, they've got the same problem humans have. They literally, some of them have absolute horrifying nightmares of being human or of being something else. You know, and just like humans, they get it in all kinds of weird fashions, which is why I end up talking to some of them, just trying to help them understand that is just likely another life you've gone through. They've got the same questions humans do. Who am I? Where did I come from? What am I actually here for? Well, the blanket answer is you're here to remember literally all of who and what you are and what you're capable of. And rest assured, there's little limit on that.
Keith, 30 seconds. I want to say a big thank you for you coming back on the show tonight. Do me a favor, tell everybody where they can find you.
Easiest place to find me is under R. Keith Andrews on YouTube, or go to buymeacoffee.com/InnerVoiceJ. Other than that, it's easy to track me down. You know, the other one you might want to look for is Inner Voice Enterprises at yahoo.ca.
I think that's great. Our Keith Andrews of the ET Connection, thank you very much. We will talk to you next month. Coming up next, we got Swamp Dweller. Then right after that, our good friend, extra small Lee Strauss, hops in for the Q&A. So stay tuned, everybody.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Good job tonight, Art Keith.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
You have a good night, buddy, okay?
You know, it's always a lot of fun. You too, Dave. You take care.
Good night, buddy. Art Keith Andrews. I'll be right back, everybody.
Well, it would help if I unmute myself when I come out here to talk.
All right, let's bring in extra small. There he is. All right,
Hey,
let's say
everybody.
hello to Dutch Hank. Jennifer Beveridge, how are you? Tartar Sauce, what's happening? Polly Roderman and Candace Helfrich, how are you tonight? Entertainment Extreme, nice to see you. Stu Effin Gerson, where are you? I thought I saw your name. Juliana McGill, nice to see you. And let's scroll down. Benno, how are you? Get your questions ready for Lee and me. It's Lee and me time. Tim Mothman and your goatee. You're looking sexy tonight. Thank you to T-Bone Times 2, Michelle, Cat Chaser, and Marie for the super chats. And thank you to Fast Hemi for joining our new membership on YouTube. We greatly appreciate the love. We're coming back here in about 6 seconds, and it'll be fun, I promise. Here comes the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for joining us as we continue on earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone tuning us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Rindle. Rindle is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as a clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey to the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. This story takes place in the summer of 2017. My name is John. I live in a rural part of Alabama, but choose to work in the city. The drive is about 45 minutes or so depending on traffic. However, by the time I pick up my son from the sitter, get dinner, and get home, I've been in the car for about an hour and a half. My house is surrounded by trees and the neighbors are few and far between. It can get pretty lonely out here, but I enjoy the privacy. One evening, I pulled into my driveway and noticed something odd. The doors on my storage shed were wide open. I told my son to sit in the car as I got out to investigate. I didn't see anything missing and closed the doors back. I know the wind had not blown them open because it had two latches that must be open to get in. The next day, I looked around and much to my dismay, 2 weed eaters along with a few other garden tools were missing. I know I should have contacted the police, but I knew there wasn't much they could do at that point. Throughout the week, I had some time off and decided to tackle some yard work that I needed to get done, which included cutting down a medium-sized tree that had grown next to my house. Once I cut it down and took everything out, I had to move it to the edge of my property, just inside the woods. I planned on cutting it up another day. Fast forward to the next Friday, I left work at 7 p.m., picked up my son, and we arrived home at around 8:30 p.m. As I pulled into the driveway, my son and I noticed something laying across the driveway. It looked as if a tree branch had fallen across my driveway. As I drove up to it, though, I thought to myself, there are no trees over my driveway. Once I looked down and really got close to it, my heart sank to the bottom of my stomach. It was the tree I had cut down the other day. I had put it clear on the other side of my property until I could cut it up. I recognized the marking from my chainsaw. I didn't know what to do. My son and I sat there in silence for at least 5 minutes. I rolled the driver and passenger side window down just to get an inch closer and listen to hear if anything was out there. I didn't hear anything. I then realized for me to get to my house, I had to get out and move the tree. I told my son that I was going to get out and move it, just enough so that we could get past, and I would lock the doors. If anything happens, he could use my phone to call the neighbor who lived the closest. I darted out of my car and moved the tree slightly out of the way. and raced back to my car. I was terrified. Luckily, my son was on the ready to unlock the doors for me to get back in. I drove toward my house and we got in safely, and I didn't sleep much that night. The next day I woke up to find the tree was moved again, this time a few feet behind my car. To this day I'm still baffled at who or what could have done this, or what their intentions were. Next time I will be smarter and call the police. I do have another question that I cannot answer though. How did someone know where I put the tree after I cut it down? Whoever had done this had been watching me. I had put the tree in the woods. The thought alone, enough, is keeping me up sometimes.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another spooky story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, ring that bell, have some fun. Thousands of stories there for you to listen each and every night. It's time for the Q&A with Lee. All right, extra small Lee Strauss joining us here. How you doing, my friend? Going to get you to unmute your mic.
I'm doing fantastic, Dave.
The beard's looking good. Thank you for growing it.
Oh, yeah. I'm just keeping her trimmed. I ain't going to get wild.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I don't know if you heard this news today. Okay, but I retweeted it on X. J.D. Vance, the loving vice president of the United States, basically says that he's a UFO geek.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I did.
And that he wants to take the recess of politics through August and catch up on all the UFO stuff that he hasn't been able to do in his first 6 months of office. And he seems very interested to find out what's going on there. I personally think, and I'm curious your opinion, that this is a big step for ufology, or a potential major step for ufology, and potentially even the D word, disclosure. What's your thoughts?
Well, I did listen to that part of that interview, I should say. And the thing that I came away with was, I don't know who was interviewing him, but that guy was acting like it was a complete joke. And that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because it's similar to other news stations that we've listened to in the past, Dave, that have made it a joke. And, you know, by now, this stuff is mainstream and is not a laughing matter anymore. So I thought it was very interesting what J.D. Vance said. I also clued in on 2 other times that Trump mentioned this week that he was interested in coming forth with some, UFO stuff, and that he might be looking at disclosure. So this all ties in very well now, doesn't it? You've got the vice president and president both talking about UFOs in the same week. Why? What's going on, right? Well, there's some other stuff that's not so good news, and they might want to distract from that news. So, of course, there's such a large group of Republicans and Democrats now that want disclosure. So I think this is a way forward. This is a way to distract But if we get any news out of this at all, it'll be good.
I never thought about the distraction side because I don't, or I shouldn't say I don't, but I try not to follow politics at any level unless it's UFOs. And it's not because I'm not a voter, because I am a voter, but I'm just so disgruntled that I just cannot follow it anymore. It's really proving that we're damned if we do and damned if we don't. No matter which side of the ledger you vote on. And I'm getting real tired of it. So, I pulled back. I've totally pulled back. I think Canada and the United States, I don't care what anybody says. I think we live in the two greatest nations in the world, and we're allowing a bunch of boneheads on both sides screw it up for everybody. I do believe that. And how we got to this point, I mean, you could blame the media, you could blame indoctrination, you can blame anything you want. Okay? But the only people to blame are the people like us who vote or choose not to vote. And we have the two greatest nations the Western world and the world has ever seen. Okay? I would throw Australia in that mix, New Zealand. I would throw Great Britain in that. Okay? There's a lot of great countries out there, not just in the Western world, but other places as well. I hear a lot of great things about places like Thailand. Okay? And other countries as well. But man, are we dumb. Are we ever dumb? And I could actually, now that you've said that, and it's triggered my brain, I could actually sit there and say, I could see J.D. Vance going both ways. Either number one, he is extremely interested in this topic and wants to know truly what's going on, but he should already have the clearance due to his position to know. So is he hiding something, or is he literally just saying that to go to part B, which you just said, that there's a lot of crap going on and we may need a distraction, whether it's a false flag or whether it is something just to get the minds off of what's going on, not only around the world, but with tariffs, with, little islands that have people on a list. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. And you're right. It could be a distraction, and they may use this topic to do that. I mean, if you want to get conspiratorial and put tinfoil on your head, this is one to look at. And you're very right on that, Lee.
Yeah, I mean, just the job numbers today were horrific. So they're going to use, hopefully, they're going to give us some information, even if it's something they have to do or they feel like they have to do. If it's nuggets that bring us closer to the reality of what's going on, then that's what we're going to get. If we're going to get breadcrumbs, we're going to get breadcrumbs. But hopefully it moves us in the right direction and not away from the reality of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Even though he's made this conversation public, can we add J.D. Vance to the topic now? Or is it too soon?
We're just going to have to wait and listen just to what he says. And unfortunately, for the past 6 months, he's kind of been in the background and we haven't heard a whole lot from him. So this right here is, as far as I'm concerned, a step forward. Of course, you know how this goes, Dave. We get to this spot where we're poo-pooing the whole thing. The government's not going to ever tell us anything. And then all of a sudden we get excited again just to get depressed and to get shot down.
You're very right.
It's just roller coaster.
You are very right on that. But still the idea that he came out with that topic and said that he, that he's basically geeking out over it. I think that is still a big move. When people, whether you like it or not, believe it or not, and look, I think we're pretty highly critical of any politician or government agency or agent that comes out and says anything about this subject. as we should be. We should protect our own in our own space. But to have the level of him come out and say he's going to be studying it publicly, if true, if he follows through on that, that is a major move forward. Now, that doesn't mean disclosure is going to happen. It doesn't mean that he's going to give up any information. It doesn't mean that he's going to be sitting in a chair listening to Congress interview people under oath. But what it does mean is he's paying attention. He should tell us about it. Will he? Who knows? This may be as far as he goes, Lee.
Yeah, but it does one other thing for us, too. It helps dispel the stigma that's left, right? The more people come forward with it, especially at that level, it helps us in the field and us that believe that this stuff is real. You know, it's a good thing all around, really.
Here's one of the things I noticed. I don't know if you did, but, you know, I have a real beef with the acronym UAP. I hate it. And yes, that is a personal bias. But when I see people like generals and people in the military separating the word UFO and UAP in their conversation, it makes my ears perk up a little bit, because I've always believed, and I've been told by people within intelligence, that there is a difference between UFO and UAP. UFO are theirs, wherever they are from. UAP are man-made objects. And here, I don't know about you, but maybe it was just an ignorance on his part, but J.D. Vance saying he's looking for UFOs, not UAP. He is a military man. He is a man of position and a man of authority. He would know that the new clickbait term is UAP, yet he used UFOs. Now, there's a lot of people who will say, oh, Dave, you're reading into things a little too much. Maybe I am. But I did find that very interesting that a person of his position would not use a governmental term on UFOs or on UAP, rather using UFOs.
That's almost a little nugget. And I didn't realize that he had done that until you said it. Then thinking back about the interview. Wow. That's almost like hitting it out of the park and giving a nod to us in a sort of way. And maybe a shrug to, you know, the military industrial complex. So that's good. That's amazing.
Derek in our chat room brings up another important point. One of the most powerful men in the U.S. right now is a gentleman named Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel started and made his billions off of PayPal, being the partner of Elon Musk. When Musk decided to go into space and build cars, Thiel set up defense corporations, especially in the technological side, to help prevent hacking. And they're also working on other projects for the military for a company that he's a majority stake, or he has a lot of shares in, and I believe leads a company called Palantir. Now, here's the interesting part. J.D. Vance is an underling of Peter Thiel. This has been very public. Peter Thiel is also known in the UFO parts, where he came out of nowhere a couple of years ago and spent between $5 and $8 million of his own money to sponsor Enigma Labs to set up their UFO reporting group. They wanted to be the more powerful MUFON, but they were doing it very secretly. They wanted all your information, but they weren't going to tell you what they did with it. They weren't going to tell you who they were showing it to. They had no intention of working or taking any government contracts, but if the government came calling, they'd love to work with them. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
And then when Enigma kind of got off to a rocky start because nobody's trusting them, nobody's really sending them information, and they're literally having to steal a lot of their reports from other research groups, including MUFON. But a year and a half later, another underling of Peter Thiel shows up talking UFOs on a YouTube channel named Jesse Michaels. So the question is this another way that Peter Thiel is trying to move the ball forward in the UFO marketing scheme of disclosure for dollars? Because if they have alien equipment, if they've reverse engineered craft, if they've reverse engineered maybe some of the robotics or AI that aliens are using, or if it's time travelers, or if it is something that they could skip through wormholes, something well beyond hypersonic speed, wouldn't he want that technology?
I think, Dave, what you might have is Peter Thiel that has some tech that he would like to release to us, to the public. And the only way to do that, because it's so amazing, is to let us know that it came from ETs, because there's no other chance that it came from anywhere else. And I don't know what that tech would be. I have no clue. But that's what it makes me think, is that if you have some advanced piece of equipment that would be amazing to get in everybody's hands and using, but there's no way that you can say, hey, you know, this is where we invented it, this is how we came upon it, and you have to say, well, it's ET tech because it's just so amazing. The only way to do that is to come out and say, hey, we grabbed this piece of tech from a UFO and now we want to share it with the public. That way you could get a ton of capital.
That's if you believe that his plan for this UFO stuff is not a just a ruse. Because if it is a ruse, saying we're doing it for the public, well, he hasn't really showed anything that the public matters. It's all about defense contracting, because that's where the money is.
That's where the big money is, correct?
Yes.
Well, then he's going to want to keep it in-house. And there's no sense of letting the public in on any of this. But it sounds like JD Vance and others have been under his wing, and now this information is leaking out, or, well, it's been leaking out for a long time, but it's coming from new people, right? Talking about it. So there's got to be a reason. And yeah, you're right. It's probably monetary, or it's control, it's power, it's something.
Lee, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we're going to head out for our final break of the night. Extra small, Lee Strauss here with us on the Q&A. Lee is a great researcher in his own right, and he'll be up here live in studio in just a couple weeks. Literally 14 days from today. This is Spaced Out Radio.
This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Scott.
I can't tell when we're clear.
We're clear.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you this right now, sir.
Mhm.
I cannot wait to get into your studio and play a proper game of footsie under your desk.
Oh, it's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
It's totally going to happen.
It's got to happen.
Yeah.
Socks off and all.
You and Tim could actually do the your show from this studio.
Oh, my God. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
You're completely right. And I thought I might have to skip my show.
Who is my guest on the 15th? Oh, Blondes and Booze Paranormal.
Well, heck, I'll try to see if I can't get Les Baker on for that weekend then.
Okay.
No,
All right.
I don't know how to run all your stuff. I've got my crap down, but
I don't know. We'll let Tim run it, or I'll run it. Because I have to prep for my show anyways.
yeah. Well, it'll be a good time, man. Holy cow.
Oh, yeah. It'll be a grand old time with extra small Lee Strauss here. Actually, it'll be really good to actually have you here because I'm thinking of doing some changes to the studio.
Oh,
And you doing the line of work that you do and building that amazing studio of yours, it'd be great to get some ideas for what we
Sure.
can do in here. I think I need to change the lighting a little bit, at least dim it down.
yeah, it's pretty all over the place. Even in my studio, it's pretty all over the place.
Yeah.
But you can definitely highlight your face and kind of darken the background a little bit. That would be more dynamic,
Mm-hmm.
creating some shadows and some stuff. I'm into
Dude,
that.
we're going to have so much fun in the forest. I'm going to take that Saturday off.
Yeah.
Going to talk to the boss about it on Wednesday when he's back.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, look, dude, hate to tell you, but I'm taking that Saturday off. He'll be like, okay. And I'll be like, you don't understand. Extra small is at my house.
Well, it's not just me. It sounds like there's going to be quite a few other people joining us.
Yeah, we're going to probably have to barbecue some steaks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what? If I could take the Saturday off, we can literally hit Flight 21 at like, I don't know, like early afternoon.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It takes me a while to get my equipment set up. So
Did Tim tell you about the tree knocking that happened?
he's mentioned it briefly, but you know,
Oh, dude. This was literally within 50 yards. And it was like somebody took, like, we're going in there tomorrow night, and I need to see where this happened. I know in my head where it happened, but I need to see it. I need to see where it happened. And it was like somebody took a Louisville Slugger
oh wow.
and just went whap, whap on that tree.
How many times did they hit it? Just twice?
Twice. But it was the loudest. Like, I've heard tree knocks before, and usually they're off in the distance. Dude, this thing was like right there. And then a couple minutes later, we heard it running, whatever it was, running through the trees.
Oh wow.
You will have and I mean this, you will have an entirely new perspective of what Flight 21 is. And you will literally, like, I'm not trying to overbuild it here, but you will literally be like, oh my God, this is claustrophobic.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. Big thank you tonight to Fast Hemi for joining our YouTube membership. Jennifer Maggie, T-Bone ×2, Deborah Rooney, Marie, Cat Chaser, and Michelle. Thank you for the love. Appreciate it. And here we go. Like 7 seconds. Here we go with the third, or make that the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for joining us. We greatly appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We continue on with the Q&A. Our good friend Lee Strauss, we call him extra small around here, hanging on out, taking audience questions, talking UFOs, talking cryptids. It is so much fun to have you here each and every night, Lee.
Thank you much, sir. Well, not every night, but every Friday.
I love it. I love it. You're one of the good ones, even though others will say you're not, but I think you are, and that's what's important. Who are those others? I don't know. I don't know.
Oh man. Well, I can't wait to get up there. You know, if you've got cryptids and UFOs and the paranormal all happening in one location, there's something definitely going on, and I can't imagine. You said that it feels claustrophobic, and that I've only come across one other time in a location.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's set our radio audience up for it for a second, Lee.
Yep.
Because you're coming up here in 2 weeks' time. You're going to hang out. You're going to join Tim James and I for a trip up to Flight 21. I believe Merle is going to be up here with us. And we're going to go out there and we are going to literally investigate the heck out of that place. And we're going to get there early. You're going to set up all your gear. It's going to be very tough for you to get your gear in. I will tell you that right off the bat. Okay. And, well, it might take a couple of trips. Your vehicle's probably going to get scratched, just so you know.
No big
just
deal
so
there.
you know. I know you take it up into places that are tight on the mountains. So you have a 4x4, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Truck or SUV?
4Runner.
Okay. So you'll get to the one area, no problem. I don't know if you'll feel comfortable taking the second area, but that's going to be up to you. So you're going to come up here, and you've heard all the stories that Tim and I have said about what goes on up there. And it could be a little bit odd for you because it is quite claustrophobic. You are surrounded by trees. You don't have a lot of big lines of sight, you know, so that's pretty much what it is. One quick question from our audience before you answer that. Gary Reed is in our chat room saying, who is the clam and what does the password do? Well, the clam is the desert clam who sets the password. And what's the password for? Exactly. That is your answer. Exactly. If you could figure out the riddle, you figure out what the password is for. The answer is exactly. So, claustrophobic. You've been in claustrophobic areas before looking for cryptids and UFOs.
Yeah. So what I meant by claustrophobic is this location that I had went to was so haunted that I felt like there was things all around me that I could not see. And it felt very closed in. And that was at Northern State Hospital up here in Washington State. And there was this one area that we went into, and there was this doorway. And as soon as I put my foot through the doorway is when everything all went to heck. It felt like this black mass had just covered my body, and it was very tight and restrictive. And I pulled myself out of that doorway and looked at the door jamb, and it actually said like gateway to hell. And then it had a phone number. If you have issues, you should call this number, and just all kinds of crazy stuff on the door jamb. And I was like, oh my gosh. So that's what I mean by claustrophobic, because something almost like attached itself to me, and it felt like there was things all around me. So I'm hoping that it's not quite like that.
No, it's not going to be like that, but you know, it gives you a false sense of freedom, because realistically, there are where we set up base camp, there are 3 trails to exit. One exits out of the area. That's the trail you drive in on. One exit goes over to the gifting site and into the forest, where you'll probably get lost and run into Wendigos and skinwalkers. And the other trail goes into the crash site. Okay. So there is really one correct exit. The other 2, you're going to be walking for a while before you get to the road. Not saying it's impossible, but you know, you may stub a toe. You're going to want to wear good shoes. You know, Crocs aren't going to do it. As much as I love Crocs, they're not going to do it. But the big thing is, we're going to be, you know, you're going to see how claustrophobic it is, because everywhere you look, and you live in the Pacific Northwest, you know that there are areas you've wandered into the forest where all of a sudden, you know, you're in the open, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're surrounded by trees. You couldn't see a bear from a rabbit hanging out there, let alone a bird flying. You've been in those areas. That's what it's like.
Yep. Okay. Well, that I can handle. I'm okay there. Yeah. It's just when you have an attachment, that's another thing entirely. So let's just hope that everything goes well, you know, and I'll bring everything that I can think of. I was
just leave your pointy sticks at home.
Yeah. I was talking to Tim earlier. I showed him a picture of this thing that I got, but basically it's a camo, like a hunting tent, hunting blind that you can get into, and you can see out, but nothing can see in.
Oh, nice.
So I can bring mine, either that, or we can use, Tim has one, and it would be good to set up because nothing can see you inside that thing. You know, and I think you do most of your stuff at night, correct?
Usually the end of daylight going into nighttime.
Okay. So if you had a flashlight inside that thing, something outside would be able to see the flashlight on the inside at dark or dusk. But if you're not using a light source, you know, it's quite possible you could see something come up and press its face against it while you're in there.
What kind of equipment are you going to be bringing with us?
Well, I've got some no glow trail cameras. I've also got a 360 trail camera. I've got a numerous amounts of other stuff too. I've got a Geiger counter. I've got all kinds of that sort of device. Those similar sorts of devices as well, just to see, you know, and look for magnetic readings and different stuff, trying to pinpoint things. What I've noticed about magnetic readings, though, when you're in a place like this, is they tend to move around and they don't stay stationary, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, and in the fact that this place may have portals or something like that too. We should be able to figure that out if that's what's going on there.
That'll be cool.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be cool. Are you coming up to, like, are you bringing gear with you that will have both usage for Sasquatch and UFOs?
Yeah, I'm bringing the gamut with me. I've got one of the pieces of equipment that I have is super sensitive to magnetic fields, and if there is anything in the area, it'll alert us and tell us that there's something going on. So that'll be plugged in the whole time we're there. And then, you know, a myriad of handheld devices that I have. I just a Gauss meter. I mean, you name it. I've got Pelican cases worth of stuff. So, and you know, that's interesting. You were telling me about the roads. My vehicle is going to be weighed down pretty heavily with stuff. So hope I don't have to have a super high ground clearance.
There's only one area that you would have some trouble, and that's when we have to go through the gully.
Okay.
And the one edge of the coming out of the one part of the gully, the ATVers have torn it up pretty good. My Jeep goes up there fine if you're in low gear, because, you know, you do have to use your 4-low to get up the hill. And otherwise, you're good after that.
We'll see.
It'll be your call, because if we have to make runs back in my Jeep for a to get your stuff up there, we could totally do that. That's not a problem if we have to use it as a runner.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I also have like a wagon too, you know, like one of those garden wagons I could put everything in and then haul.
No, you wouldn't want to do that.
Okay.
That would be unsafe.
Okay.
Yeah. I am. What are you looking forward to about coming up here in regards to Flight 21? What are you looking forward to?
Well, you know, my first priority is going to be anything alien. And I heard that there was possible footprints. And so I would love to see that.
Stop right there. Did Tim tell you about the weird prints we found?
Yes.
Not the Sasquatch prints, but the weird duck prints.
Yes.
Have you ever seen those before?
The narrow heel. I've not. You know, there was one time in my old house that I had rented where I thought for sure that something had come in the house, and so of course I take the black light out and I'm shining it, and I've got a print, like a footprint on the floor that is kind of what he describes. And then I also shined it up near the bed on the wall, and there's a handprint on the wall as well, the 4-fingered handprint. So I might have seen what it is as far as the footprint is concerned.
The unfortunate part about our area is you can't cast prints. The ground is too dry and it's too hard. So when these creatures are stepping in, you might get a 1/16 of an inch, if that, like totally uncastable, which kind of sucks. And that's if you're lucky to get a 1/16 of an inch. You don't get the big print. You know, it's almost like if you look at it when it's dry out, it's almost like when if you stepped in mud and then you made your next footprint.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what it looks like. You know, but these weird duck-like feet, but giant duck-like feet. We're talking like 9 inches wide and maybe 10 inches long. I mean, we've seen 2 of those. And they were about, I'm going to say, 90 yards apart. Now, that's either one big footstep, but I've never seen that before. And to find one in the middle of the trees and then find one on our path 90 yards away, that was different, man.
Yeah, that's different than what I saw in my house. I'm going to tell you right now, what I saw in my house was small, very, very small. And it had like this narrow heel and this little bit more of a splayed out foot. Looked like a child's size 4 or something like that.
Right.
So we're talking, you're definitely seeing something else there.
Yeah, I don't quite know how to understand or even describe it very well. I know I'm not doing that good of a job in describing it, but these prints I've never seen anything like them before. I really haven't. And they're not animal-like. They're just strange. You know, they're not dog-like. They're not bear-like. They're like a giant duck.
Interesting. Huh. So it's webbed almost. It could be.
It looks webbed, but I can't prove that it's webbed.
Okay. Well, there is an app that we can get for a cell phone that will basically do a 3D rendering of whatever it is that you got it over. So in lieu of casting, you can do that. So
that might work.
Yeah.
That might work. You know, and that would be something interesting. Like, I'm just going through Google right now trying to find a print that looks something like it, but I can't see it.
Well, we've heard of like these 3-toed prints before that almost look kind of like a dinosaur or something like that.
Yeah.
But what you're describing, I just haven't heard of. Nothing that big.
It is highly strange, my friend. It is highly strange in order to see something that shouldn't be there being there.
Yeah, and this is the first time you've seen them.
These prints, we've only seen them the one day.
Yeah.
And we just kind of laughed it off. We're like, oh, you know, that looks like a weird type of footprint.
Yeah.
And then when you see the second one, you're like, okay, what the hell is this?
Was it in proximity to where the plane crash happened?
No. The first one we saw was over by our gifting site. Probably 50, 60 feet from our gifting site. And the second one was about 90 yards to the east or to the west, because we were in the east. Go 90 yards west on one of the road trails leading out. And that's where the second one was.
So as you mentioned before, you said use the word Wendigo. So maybe.
Well, that's what we think. So when Lolly Bennett, our First Nations psychic lady, who you may meet, okay, when she came up with us, she actually channeled the Sasquatch, a Sasquatch elder. And I asked her while she was in channeling, I asked her point blank who or what those voices were. And First Nations legend or First Nations rule is you never mention the S word or the W word. And she would not mention the name. So I said, is it one of the two? And she nodded and said yes. I said, Is it one or the other? She didn't know. But this was all happening while she was channeling, which made it even more intriguing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But do I think those were a print of one of the two creatures? Could have been. I don't know. I'm going to look what a Wendigo footprint looks like.
Well,
And I'm going to look what a Skinwalker footprint looks like.
Either way, it'd be. I should have that app. I've been bringing a bag of hydrocal with me in the back of my truck for a long time, and it'd be so much easier to be able to get a rendering in about a minute versus waiting as long as that takes.
Well, remember, that's if we get cell phone service.
I hope that the app works without cell phone service.
That would be cool if it did.
Yeah. It just uses your onboard camera, and you just kind of move it around the object that you're scanning. So
I'm all excited because I bought a gimbal for us to shoot with. That seems fun.
Is it a Ronin or?
It's an Osmo.
Okay, yeah.
Osmo 7 Pro 2 or something like that. It's going to be good. Going to be very good. And it's going to make Tim less shaky. And even more so, me not shaky.
Well, that's the thing. When you're running through the woods, running away from something, you like to have a steady cam.
Well, the interesting point about it, too, now, is it gives us the ability to shoot backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So if all of a sudden we think something is trailing us and we're walking forwards, we can now hold the camera up steady and look at it backwards and see if and what's following us. But Lee, big thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for coming on the Q&A tonight. It's always fun. One thing I like about the Q&A, it's like you and I just having a beer and enjoying a good conversation. So thank you for that. As we say goodnight to Lee and hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, Lee.
Oh, it was fun.
I'm going to give you a few claps. Stick around for a moment. Everybody, I'm going to be editing this show later this weekend because I'm actually quite tired. But I want to say a big thank you to everybody for our super chats tonight, including Gary, Deborah Rooney, Jennifer, Maggie, T-Bone ×2, Marie, Cat Chaser, and Michelle. And let's also give a big shout out to Fast Hemi for joining our new YouTube membership. I'm going to put some stuff together this weekend, get it all ready for you to make sure you guys know what we are doing. It's a long weekend for me up here in British Columbia, so I'm actually going to take advantage of that because I never do, which means that I'll be working in studio behind the scenes. That's how I spend my long weekends. How about you? So thank you to all of our new subscribers. Thank you to everybody. We're going to try and get the newest video out on Sunday, probably 5 p.m. Pacific is what we are aiming for, maybe 6, probably 5. And I will have an update for you guys on that very, very soon. And thank you very much for tuning us in. We love you. And I will see you on Monday when my guest will be, who is it? Christy Andrews, channeling ET beings. Oh, yeah, that's going to be good. I love a good channeling session. I do. Stick around, Lee. I'll see the rest of you on Monday night. Have a good one. Thank you. Thank you. And good night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.